Welcome back to Off the Thread Reds. We're a group chat of above average Reds fan, overreact, overanalyze, and keep coming back for more. We'll break down what's happening in the season and react in real time, the highs and lows of being a Cincinnati Reds fan. This episode, we got a jam-packed surprise of all World Baseball Classic info, players, and what you need to know going into the game starting this week. Before we begin talking about anything, let's just get into what you guys need to understand and what is the World Baseball Classic. So, John, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, we got a little World Baseball Classic for Dummies, as some of us had to do a little research on this ourselves. First and foremost, this happens every 4 years, and the tournament takes place all over the world, as you'll see with this year's different pools. It includes 20 different nations. The first World Baseball Classic was in 2006, and winners since 2006 include Japan 3 times, 2006, 2009, 2023. The DR, Dominican Republic, they won in 2013, and the United States in 2017. A little bit more about kind of the incentive of the World Baseball Classic. There is a $14 million prize pool. The way that is broken down is $1 million goes to the champion, but also finalists get 500,000, semifinalists 500,000, quarterfinalists 400,000, group winners 300,000. So if you do win it all, you're bringing in just under a cool 3 million for you and your country. That was based off of 2023 numbers, so I can only imagine with inflation, those numbers will be going up. That's your World Baseball Classic for Dummies. I'll kick it over to Joey with the pools.
John, yeah, I do have a question for you. What is 2026 minus 2023? My St. X math says that is 3 years.
Huh? 2026 minus 2023?
Yeah. What isn't that every 3 years then?
2026 to 2009 to 2006. They went 07.
25, 26.
Listen, I'm pulling these stats off of the World Baseball Classic website. If you're trying to call me out here, I'll give you the helpline to World Baseball Classic because there's nothing I can do here. It's straight off their website. Would you like me to cite my sources? I can put it in the slides.
It just does seem like it's like a little bit less consistent cadence of when it happens based off of these winners.
Yeah, it says the first was 2006, then 2009, 2013, 2017, 2023. I guess COVID, did COVID bump that out?
Would that have been maybe. It probably pushed it.
In a couple of years? I have no idea. Honestly, that's something I'd have to do a little more research and get back to us here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a question I always had too, because it seems like it's a little bit less scheduled and on a cadence than like a World Cup or an Olympics. But we did have the Olympics in 2021, delayed by a year, and then that was only a 3-year gap between Tokyo and Paris.
So the 2021 World Baseball Classic was officially canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was not played, with the organizers ultimately pushing the next tournament to 2023. Good catch there. My West Side math would have never picked up on that.
Hey, so it's going to be every 4 years going forward.
Yes.
At least the Catholic schools teach you guys how to count. Us public school folk, I don't even know how to spell Houston. So, I mean, you guys are on the up and up.
Yeah. I was more concerned when you asked about Tokyo personally than Houston, but we've all got our fights to fight.
Yeah, so we'll get into the pools and what countries are competing against who in the round robin stage. So this kicks off on Wednesday. I believe there's 1 game, and then Thursday there's like 2 games. And then on Friday is when it really kicks off, and that's when the U.S. has their first game. So Pool A is going to be played in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is going to have the home field advantage in that bracket. Colombia, Canada, Cuba, and Panama will also be competing in Puerto Rico. And then Pool B is in Houston, Texas. That'll feature the Stars and Stripes, USA, Mexico, Italy, Brazil, and Great Britain. They definitely wanted to get some rivalry games with Mexico and Great Britain, I feel like, going with that pool. Pool C is going to be in Tokyo. Japan is the host there. So they got Japan, Korea. I think that's South Korea only. Australia, Chinese Taipei, or Taiwan. We're not making a stance on that. And Czechia. And then Pool D, It's going to be in Miami, Florida. That'll feature the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Netherlands, Israel, and Nicaragua. So those games will stretch out until I believe it's Wednesday the 11th is when pool play wraps up. And then starting March 3rd, all the games move to the States, and the quarterfinals are on the 13th and 14th in Houston, Miami. And then they go consolidate Miami for the semis on the 15th and the 16th. And then the finals will be on March 17th. St. Patrick's Day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no Ireland in the bracket. But it would be cool to see them win a World Baseball Classic on St. Patrick's Day.
So looking at the pools, it's interesting how like Japan's hosting in Tokyo, right? Puerto Rico has their games. USA is obviously in Texas. I'm kind of bummed out that the DR is not hosting their pool in the DR. I know that Dominican Republic Winter League is like an absolute hype train of crowds and fans. It's kind of a bummer how they can't host there. Just feel kind of bad for the fans and the people that are there wanting to root them on. So, but
Right.
Miami is a good place to host a tournament. So.
Yeah. So on this outline that we have with all the teams, if you're watching us on YouTube, we are not necessarily ranking these teams because honestly, I don't think I know enough about some of these like Cuba, Panama. These players are kind of none of them have stepped foot on an MLB field before, so I would have no way to actually rank it. But we probably put at the top the team that we expect is the favorite in each pool. Definitely Japan, US, and Dominican Republic are favorites to win each.
So one thing I might have not heard you say, how much time between pool play and then going to Houston, Miami on March 13th and 14th? Not much, right?
Yeah, it's
They get 1 day
Wednesday
for
the 11th.
travel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Listen,
everyone gets the 12th off. It seems like most teams have the 11th off as well. Yeah. So
at some point we're gonna have.
It's a pretty fast happening event. A lot of baseball in a short period of time. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a little bit more competitive than spring training. Everyone trying to give it their best, not learning new pitches or trying new things out at the plate. They're probably all competing as if it's a meaningful baseball game and managing it as such too for the managers. So we're going to kind of give an in-depth preview of the USA team. Oh, before that, most of these games can be watched on the US games will all be on Fox, national TV. A lot of the other games are on FS1 or FS2. So it's pretty available, much more available than spring training games are. So we don't have a West Side rant about the World Baseball Classic listening on the radio.
We're not begging a kid to hold a GoPro for us to get any sort of in-depth look as to how we look as a team, huh?
Yeah.
But imagine that.
Yeah. And so let's get into this USA team. Who the starters are, I don't think they've necessarily announced it, but they've announced the hitters and the pitchers. So on the hitting side, Big Dumper is the catcher. And Will Smith is, I believe I would consider him probably the backup catcher. Will Smith of the Dodgers. So those are two of the best at their position for sure. This US team, all the way down the line, is good players, and it's going to be fun to watch them play together. You got Bryce Harper, Mr. Not Elite, according to Dabrowski, at first base. Paul Goldschmidt also at first. Bryce Terang is the second baseman, and then Gunnar Henderson, I think, may get some time at second, short, or third. I believe Bobby Witt is the shortstop. I expect him to be, probably winning that role. A past MVP candidate, probably will be for the rest of his career. Alex Bregman and Ernie Clement at third base. Outfielders are Aaron Judge, Pete Crow Armstrong, Byron Buxton, and Roman Anthony. And then we got Kyle Schwarber hitting dingers as the DH.
Quickly here, as a Reds fan, two people I'm interested in seeing are actually division rivals. I'm curious to see how PCA looks. Last year, he started off so strong, and then towards that tail end of the year, he kind of cooled off. And then, obviously, new Chicago Cub, Bregman. So I'm curious to see how they look. how intimidated we're going to be amongst our Wrigley foes and more PCA. I'm curious to see how PCA looks personally.
Yeah, he's really fun to watch in the field too. I love
Yeah.
watching PCA
Yeah.
when he's out there.
I was gonna say, from a fielding perspective, like if there's a way in which Byron Buxton and PCA can see the field at both times, like if we can get them both in the outfield at the same time, Aaron
Yeah.
Judge just whatever, put him in whatever right field and have him chill. But
Yeah.
left field and center, there's not a ball that's gonna drop. Like yeah, that'd be so much fun to watch from a defensive perspective.
Yeah. PCA is fun to watch too because like when he's struggling, he really shows it too. Like
Yeah.
he like chucking the bat at the ground, throwing his helmet.
He's
He
tossing the helmet.
plays with a lot of emotion. I do enjoy watching him. I like getting as a Reds fan, getting to see both sides. So definitely getting to see him in frustration at times is also kind of fun. But yeah.
I think USA teams in general, I think in any sport, do a really good job at this. They always pick, like, obviously this is an all-star lineup, superstar team, right, all that. But they always try and find, like, a young player to kind of bring in, to hype up, get people excited for the future. Them choosing Roman Anthony for the last kind of spot on the team, I think is awesome.
Yeah. So
Because,
he was
like,
a fill-in for somebody got hurt. Who was it that got hurt?
Corbin
Yeah,
Carroll.
no, Corbin Carroll. That's right.
Yeah. Corbin Carroll got hurt. I like having Roman Anthony come in and just kind of fill the spot. Like, hasn't played anything in the MLB yet, but like he's going to be a stud. I think it's awesome for the sport. Like, I think that was a really good idea. Team USA kind of doing that, but dude, this lineup is stacked. It's literally an all-star lineup. So we'll kind of see. I'm curious what the spread is in some of the games when they kind of lead
Yeah.
up to it, but it'll be
Yeah, I want
it'll
to
be
see
fun
some
to see.
high scoring pool play games from this US team. And yeah,
USA versus Great Britain.
Oh yeah, Great Britain. Yeah.
We're gonna face mailmen over there, and we're gonna put about 50 on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that what you brought up about Roman reminds me kind of Team USA basketball, like having Christian Laettner on the dream team and then Anthony Davis on like the 2012 team right out of college. Kind of the same role for Roman Anthony there. Let's get into the pitchers a little bit. So starters, a couple guys that that I highlighted on Monday's episode will be leading the front end of our rotation, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens. Good luck. Good luck to the other countries. Joe Ryan is listed here. I don't know if he's confirmed out yet, but he did have an MRI on his back a week ago. So I don't see him competing much in this. Logan Webb, who I also had, I believe in my top 5, maybe he was number 6 pitchers. Veteran Michael Wacha has been around the league for a while. Matthew Boyd of the Cubs and Nolan McLean, who was a rookie brought up for the Mets towards the end of last year. I think he'll probably operate a little bit more out of the bullpen, but he's a starter option, and maybe the Ryan injury will push him into start a game. I don't know. And then the bullpen, just more firepower. This team's going to be awesome. Mason Miller, David Bednar, the Yankees closer, Clay Holmes, who was kind of the Mets closer at times. He was closer for other teams for a few years. I think Edwin Diaz actually probably had the role when he was healthy. Garrett Whitlock, who was probably the best setup man in the game last year. Griffin Jacks for Tampa Bay, also one of the best setup men. Clayton Kershaw is on this roster. That's definitely a lot of respect for Clayton Kershaw, all-time great Hall of Famer. I hope that he's pitching in more of the pool play style games than us throwing Kersh out there against the DR with the classic on the line. Brad Keller, Garrett Cleavinger, Gabe Spire round out the bullpen group. So what do you guys thought on this pitching staff?
I feel so bad for the country that it has to go Paul Skeens to a possible Mason Miller scenario.
Yeah.
That would be like, good luck. Here's Paul Skeens shoving it down your throat for however many innings. Mason Miller comes in and it's 104 right out the gate, 103 right out the gate. It's like, good luck on that. Yeah, let's have our takes from the U.S. pitchers, and then we'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the hot take of Tarek Skubal and how people have felt about him only playing for one game.
Yeah.
Put Skeens in every game as a Reds fan. Just throw him in every game.
Yeah, this Brazil team also has a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds stepping up to the plate against these guys, and then Mason Miller throwing 105 at the end. Oh, poor kids.
Some of the Skeens quotes are so funny too. we're America. We've got to assert our dominance over everybody else. That's what we do. It's going to be fun. So, like, I mean, put Skubal in for the first game, let him pitch his first game and go back to spring training, and then just let Skeens pitch and just hand it off to the bullpen.
Yeah, we're kind of underrating Logan Webb too, like being our third option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Ace on pretty much any MLB team.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like pool play will be interesting because you're trying to save bullpen arm. Like our starters obviously are just absolutely insane. I mean, there is a drop off once Michael Wacha, Matthew Boyd. I mean, Matthew Boyd's a great pitcher. They're all great, but like, I mean, teams can hit them. So like when Venezuela, Puerto Rico, the DR play, and maybe they're starting, that'll be interesting. But I mean, our bullpen is hands down unreal. I'm just curious to see how they kind of use them to keep them healthy because you're right. It's like back-to-back games for 2 weeks straight.
What do you think's the better bet? The over on the U.S. team runs or the under on their opponents' runs when they play?
Who are we playing in that scenario? Because
Is
it
it pool
probably
play
won't-
only? We're doing
Yeah.
pool play only?
Yeah, pool play only when like we
Then I'd
could
probably go
be-
over on the
Over
Reds.
on our team runs.
because
Yeah.
I would hope that the managers are maybe going to throw like Waka and Boyd when we're playing Great Britain or Brazil.
Yeah,
We don't really need
save the arms a little bit.
to just mow down Great Britain. But would be fun to see.
But like against Mexico, I imagine they're gonna probably pitch. I mean, that would be like the perfect Skubal game.
Yeah. So we're going to touch on all the teams that we see competing, and Mexico's definitely got, a group of MLB talent to where if they're going against one of our less dominant arms, they could put up some runs for sure. Yeah. I love Mason Miller. I've been all about him ever since he came up. What was that 2024 mid-year? He is just one of the most electric closers in the game. Maybe not always the most effective. Like he does blow saves occasionally, but his stuff is just nasty. Throws so hard. All right, so we'll get into the Dominican Republic, who is by name recognition the closest you have to a Team USA team, where every guy that you're going to see either taking the mound or heading up to the plate for this team, you've probably heard their name before or have seen them if you follow the MLB as a whole league. So at hitters, they got Austin Wells at catching, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first base, Carlos Santana backed them up at first base, Ketel Marte at second base, Ahmed Rosario will kind of be a utility infielder, Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop, Jeremy Pena also backing them up at short. At third, they got two big power bats, Manny Machado and Junior Caminero. And then their outfield, pretty electric. Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, and Julio Rodriguez. That's pretty nasty. 1, 2, 3. And then
Yeah.
Cruz is the fourth outfielder. For their pitchers, Christopher Sanchez is leading the rotation. I'm assuming that wherever they find on the bracket, their most difficult game, whatever they expect that to be, Sanchez will probably get that start, and they could beat anybody in this tournament when he's pitching for sure. Sandy Alcantara and Brian Bayo are probably their 2 and 3 pitchers. They're a little bit more volatile, but have had moments where they've shut teams down before. Sandy Alcantara, did he win a Cy Young in the past? Or at least finish like top 3 in moving one year?
Yeah.
Luis Severino is their fourth pitcher. And then they got some pretty good arms in the bullpen as well. Camilo Duvall, Carlos Estevez, Abner Uribe, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Gregory Soto, Dennis Santana, Wandy Peralta, former Red, joining in there, and Huascar Brazaban. So what are you guys' thoughts on this Dominican Republic team?
They're electric. Like this, if I was going to a World Baseball Classic to watch a team play, it would be the DR. Like, no, hands down. Like, imagine just like watching a lineup where you have Juan Soto, and then right after that, you're going to see Vladdy Jr. go. And then after that, you're going to see Fernando Tatis hit. Like, it's going to be unreal. The crowd in those games down in Miami are going to be awesome too. I'm excited to see what they do. Like, this is a team besides the U.S., I would be watching them in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's insane. A country that is like the size of Massachusetts, how much baseball talent they have is crazy.
Dude, they just live, breathe baseball down there. Like, that's just what they grow up doing. Like, you could say in America we grow up and have sports that we gravitate to. This is like their sport that they just gravitate to, and it's awesome. Like if you look from catcher to outfield, they're stellar. One thing that I do really like is that they have up the middle, like players that are familiar with each other, Ketel Marte and Perdomo, they play on the same team. Having that familiarity is really important, especially from a defensive perspective. But yeah, the outfield is just filthy. It's just filthy. Like Fernando Tatis, Julio Rodriguez, both guys who have, and Juan Soto and O'Neal Cruz, like they all have unlimited power. It's just gonna be so much fun to watch. If the USA was not participating, this would be a fun team to like piggyback on and join a bandwagon for, because just they're gonna have a ball on the field. It's gonna look like they're just having the best time.
I
Home
think
run derby lineup. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I think from a rooting perspective, I think we should all be rooting to see this USA Dominican Republic matchup
yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
because that is like an all-star game where people are playing for a little bit more, a lot more than they are in the all-star game, and
And-
will like play the entire game, not be alternating at bats and stuff.
Just imagine if
their
the
pit-
managers play this right. Yeah, the pitchers, right? Imagine if the managers play this right and Christopher Sanchez goes up against Paul Skeens in the final.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd. Even if it doesn't fall on Christopher Sanchez, like Sandy Alcantara, like we said, he was Cy Young a few years back. He's got the stuff. If he's on his best day, he can compete with anybody.
Yeah, I think the
Bayo,
down-
you know more than anybody. Joey is a Red Sox fan. Like his stuff's awesome too, but he's got to be clicking. He's got to be on it. He can
has
definitely be
days where
erratic.
He has days where he gives up 4 in the first. Sometimes he'll settle down and still get through 6, but he definitely can. And Sandy's kind of the same way, where they just have some outings where they have bad showings.
Yeah.
But they
Well, I
also
think-
have some where they can go 8 shut and dominate.
Where I think we have the edge here is like if you look at our relief compared to theirs, we have a lot more names that are going to pop off at you than I think than they do to close the game down, right? Like if Christopher Sanchez comes in, you're not necessarily going to be as scared to face their relief as whereas if you have Paul Skeens throw for 7 innings, then you know you have to face one of Mason Miller, David Bednar, and a setup pitcher. You're not going to be loving your odds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say, though, from a depth perspective, for sure, I like the US's bullpen more. But they definitely got enough that they can get it done for the one game. I mean, Carlos
Yeah.
Cespedes, Camilo Duvall have a lot of saves in their history. And I think Uribe, if he ever gets that closure role for Milwaukee, I think he can be pretty nasty in the future, too.
I'm curious how the DR plays their pool because they got Venezuela in their pool. And I'm curious if they're just going to try and play to make it to the quarterfinals and
Yeah. So that
thought
game,
to save their pitching.
Wednesday, March 11th, Dominican versus Venezuela at 8 p.m. on FS1. I think that is
Fun one.
probably the game to watch of pool play. Japan, we will cover Japan a little bit, but mostly focusing on the MLB teams. Obviously, Japan has won this thing a lot. They are a baseball country as well. And they got, their hitters to watch. I got Shohei Ohtani. We already touched on him, best hitter in the world. We already touched on him a lot. It's impossible not to. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto they're kind of leading their rotation from a pitching standpoint. And Ohtani will also get the ball on the mound. I wonder if he'll ever go to the bullpen like he did last time, because that was awesome when he's like leaving the dugout in the 2023 Road Baseball Classic. He runs out of the dugout to go warm up in the bullpen and then comes in and closes out the game after like already hitting a homer. Just
It's Little League Baseball. It's Little League Baseball. It's
literally
awesome.
is. Yeah. I'm kind of like surprised he's not a 2-sport athlete. And when it's like the off season, he's not just balling at an NBA. He's a tall guy. And I feel like he probably could. He could probably do everything. Also at hitters, there's two that I'm really interested to watch because they just signed MLB contracts this year, have been all-stars in Japan for years. And I'm kind of curious the impact that they're going to have on the league this year. That is Kazuma Okamoto for Toronto. He signed a pretty big contract there. He plays third base, power hitter. And then, sorry if I miss any of these first names. I know the last names. Murakami, Munetaka Murakami signed a contract with the White Sox. I really like that signing for the White Sox this year. But he's also kind of a power hitting infielder. And then they got Seiya Suzuki, outfielder for the Cubs. He had a really good year last year. And then Masataka Yoshida of the Red Sox is still there. He is not been a great contract, but playing for country pride, they may play a little bit better. And then also in their pitching rotation, they have Yusei Kikuchi. I feel like he's been bouncing around the league a lot recently, and Tomoyuki Sugano, he was pitching for the Orioles last year, maybe the last couple of years, and he's going to Coors Field this year. So I'm sure he's probably looking forward to this event more than he is the rest of the season.
This is
I mean-
his entire season.
Yeah, this is it. Like, I don't know, it's baseball, so the sport doesn't change. But like when you think of Japan in the World Baseball Classic, they just know how to play the tournament really well. I mean, they get it. So like, even though they might not have as much depth as the DR or the US when we think of baseball standpoint, I mean, they're loaded. Like this is their thing, right? So I'm curious what Japan does this year that's going to like put them over the edge of other teams, because in the past they've done it. But I don't know. I'm still leaning more towards a U.S. Dominican Republic final, but Japan might pull it off.
Yeah, there's a lot of names. I feel like only covering this many names for Japan is probably a little unfair to them, but I just don't know all these guys who aren't getting MLB contracts. I'm only seeing them once every 4 years or 3 years or whatever the hell it is they play this tournament, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're going to have like 3 or 4 other hitters that are going to be signing MLB contracts at some point in the next few years. And then we'll end up, when they sign their contracts with the Brewers, we'll look like, oh yeah, here's when they won the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, something about Japan too is like everybody always looks at their team and can only pick out like 4 or 5 names that they can recognize because of the MLB, like you said. But a lot of their players are studs in the Japanese Baseball League, which is arguably the second best baseball league in the entire world. A lot of those players also that are on the Japanese team that goes to WBC play baseball growing up for years. So it's not like they're just forming a team that hasn't met each other or played with each other before. They've played in past tournaments. They know each other's games and their strengths and their weaknesses. I think it plays a huge advantage when you have familiarity with the team. You're playing in a tournament that's only played once every 4 years, but you have that familiarity to build off of. So they're always going to be someone who's going to be tough to beat. If you look at the gambling odds, I believe they have the second best odds right now to win the entire thing.
Yeah.
Second best, it kind of works out in our favor. We're, as Pool B, it looks like the tournament format, we wouldn't play Japan, Venezuela, or the DR until the championship or the I guess the second place game. Or
That's
so I think that
fortunate.
kind of helps too.
Although I'd kind of rather see us play the good teams.
Yeah, for in terms of just like wanting to watch good baseball.
And we covered our
absolutely.
roster, and I'm kind of thinking of it like when you're playing a video game and you're scheduling, like, say you're playing like a college football or college basketball video game as a kid, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to play Duke, North Carolina, all these teams in the offseason. Like, I want to just play the best because you think you're the best. Right.
Now, one thing that is interesting with like them having to travel so far, jet lag's gotta come in. You're flying from Tokyo to Houston. That's a 12-hour flight. I don't care if it's private, whatnot. Like, there's a big time difference. Yeah, I'm not even joking with that. Like, that is like if you're playing consistent
Yeah.
baseball every day for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden you go from playing in Tokyo to, hey, we're gonna do a time difference that's 6+ hours, and you're gonna have to fly 11+ hours in the air and then play baseball the next day. That's gonna be a factor as to how you play. I feel like
Yeah.
sharp gambling, DraftKings.
Yeah. So the Tokyo pool play does wrap up on March 10th. So they get an extra day off. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be enough for.
Still a lot.
Yeah, I agree. So one more team to cover in depth, and then we'll kind of graze on the other ones. Venezuela. Venezuela's lineup is all MLB recognition names. Their pitching rotation, not quite as much. But so for hitters, they got William Contreras catching, probably what I would say the second or third best catcher in the league. Salvi Perez will probably maybe catch a little, first base, DH. The man does it all. He's one of the most lovable guys in the game, really. Wilson Contreras playing first, so they got the brothers together. Luis Arias and Gleyber Torres at second. Andres Jimenez, utility. Ezequiel Tovar for the Rockies at shortstop. Suarez, Eugenio is playing for Venezuela, so we'll be rooting for them a little bit. Michael Garcia at third base. And then they got a solid MLB outfield as well. Ronald Acuna, Jackson Churio and Willie Abreu. And then, yeah, their weakness is pitching. So they got Ranger Suarez as their number one pitcher. After that, it's kind of lacking much firepower. They got Eduardo Rodriguez. And then also, Ranger Suarez is a good pitcher, but he's not Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal level. He kind of more is in line with those other pitchers for the DR. And then Eduardo Rodriguez is also there. And then Daniel Palencia is their closer. He's the Cubs closer. He's pretty decent as well. Yeah. Any
Just
thoughts?
hit the over on Venezuela. That's all I'm going to say. Just hit the over on Venezuela. They're hitting bombs. Bombs.
Yeah, I think they'll be fun to watch. So next up, Puerto Rico. Normally, we would have a lot more to cover on Puerto Rico. I feel like they've had some awesome World Baseball Classic teams in the past, but this year, I mean, so both Lindor and Correa are missing out on it, and they would probably be two of their bigger names. So they got Nolan Arenado and Seth Lugo are kind of the only two like stars that you would say is on their team right now. Christian Vasquez, the Twins catcher. Edwin Arroyo is going to be playing shortstop, so he's our second Reds participant. So playing a game for his national team before he plays one for the Cincinnati Reds. MJ Melendez, Eddie Rosario, and Willie Castro are also major league outfielders playing for them. And then, yeah, so pitching, they have Seth Lugo, and then they got some good relief pitchers, Fernando Cruz and Edwin Diaz, but they got to get to them with the game still intact, which they may have
With the game still mattering.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know what's
Hopefully Diaz doesn't, tear his ACL celebrating again like he did last World Baseball Classic.
Forgot about that. All right, you know what's actually wild? Puerto Rico might actually have a chance still to get out of their pool. Like, if you look at their pool, I know, like, Canada sometimes might have some depth. Colombia might. Cuba's actually not bad, but, like, definitely Pool A is, I don't want to, I hate
It's
saying.
anyone's game.
Yeah, it's anybody's game. It's the weaker pool or more even pool. So I'm curious what Puerto Rico can do or pull off there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this time to also offer up that on that take, Puerto Rico right now is -110 to win their pool. The next best odds are +330 in Canada, and I love that value.
Yeah.
I don't think Puerto Rico has enough names that jump off. Now Canada doesn't either. You look at Canada, it's like, all right, you got the Naylor brothers, Denzel Clark, he's out there, and then Tyler O'Neill. I think they have one of the pitchers or a couple of pitchers as well that are pretty decent. I know one's from the Guardians, and I'm blanking on his name.
Logan Allen.
Logan Allen, yeah. It's like they've got pieces to where I'm like, Puerto Rico should win and take care of business, but at +330, I'll take a flyer on Canada and some other longer shots. The best thing about that entire pool that I'm going to be looking at is in Puerto Rico, I'm just going to be watching Edwin Arroyo and seeing how he produces and how he plays. That's the only thing I'll be doing.
I agree that's my take on that pool as well. I think Canada is missing a few names that I'm pretty sure are Canadian. Like Nick Pivetta is Canadian. I don't know why he's not pitching for them. He had an amazing year last year and would easily slot in as their ace. Ahead of who they currently have. Yeah. They'll be a fun team to watch.
Pool A looks like it's the most competitive amongst all of them in terms of favorite to long shot. They're all kind of more grouped similarly versus the other three.
Yeah, but also it's got the least firepower for sure.
Yeah, which also plays a hand in it.
Mexico, we'll cover them a little bit because U.S. will definitely be seeing them. They got a decent team. Alejandro Kirk catching, Jonathan Aranda at first, Rowdy Tellez are backing him up at first, Luis Arias. So, yeah, maybe not the strongest infield aside from Aranda there, but their outfield's decent with Randy Rosarina, Jaron Duran, and Alec Thomas. I guess Alex Verdugo, is he like out of the league now or what's going on with him? Because I know he was playing for Mexico the last time, and I think he was like on the Braves last year. Yeah, he was on the Braves mid-season contract. So I'm kind of surprised not to see his name on Mexico's, but yeah. Their pitching isn't that great, although they have Andres Munoz, who's one of the better closers in the game. Starters, they got Taj Bradley, Taijuan Walker, and then they also have Brennan Bernardino out of the bullpen. So yeah, they're a team that can, I would say, probably the most fun watch against the U.S. in pool play will be Mexico. Netherlands, this is probably the team I'm cheering for most. outside of the U.S. I don't see them getting out of their pool, being stuck with the Dominican Republic and Venezuela. But they got two of my favorite baseball players. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, always been a big bogey guy. And then, my current favorite guy to watch in the field is Cedar Rafaela. He is Gold Glove outfielder and probably could have won Platinum Glove last year if he didn't have to go back and forth between the infield and the outfield, which kind of he's a better outfielder, serviceable infielder, but probably hurt his defensive run saved to have to bounce back and forth. Jerks and Profar, a great bat they got as well. And then Ozzy Albies at second base. They don't have any pitchers that I recognized, and that's going to be a problem for them, aside from Kenley Jansen closing, but you got 8 innings of ball before that. So I
And
don't
if
know
the Netherlands, if the Netherlands was in Pool A, they would be think of them
We'll
as a
probably
team that
consider
might
them a
actually
strong
make it out.
contender.
Yeah, right.
Right. That's why I
Also,
kinda disappointed they got put in
D-
that pool.
Didi's still playing in the Mexico League is awesome. I didn't know that.
I had no idea until I was
Not,
It's awesome. It's awesome.
not only still playing, but getting the invite to the WBC and being like, yeah, let's go ahead and run it.
Yes, that's Didi Gregorius. I don't know if I might have forgotten to mention his name earlier, but he's playing for Mexico. Former Red. Italy has a few names to highlight. Aaron Nola and Michael Lorenzen, another former Red in there. I'm kind of curious to see how Nola bounces back. Last year was just an oddly poor year for him. And then they got some good hitters, but pretty young, I would say. Vinny Pasquantino, he's an underrated first baseman for sure for KC. And then they got some youth with Jack Caglianone and Kyle Teal, two guys that I think in future years we may be talking about more, but they still got a lot to prove at the major level. And then Jacob Marcy from Miami. And then we will cover some other notables, not really team specific because the teams didn't really have enough to highlight them as a whole. But Jazz Chisholm is playing for Great Britain. Big tea and crumpets guy. Who wouldn't have thought that? Logan Allen is for Panama. So, man, I'm trying to think then who that Canadian one was. John, did you?
Dude, I'm almost positive that I'll do some research here while you continue.
Okay. Jose Caballero for Panama. Mark Vientos for Nicaragua. Hai-Sung Kim for Korea. That is the Hai-Sung on the Dodgers, who was a rookie last year. Not the other utility infielder that I believe. He was on the Padres for a while. I'm actually not really sure where the other Hai-Sung Kim is. Harrison Bader playing for Israel. Yohan Moncada for Cuba. And then this one is really confusing to me. I would have never seen it happening, but Stuart Fairchild is playing for Chinese Taipei. His name does not blend in with the rest of the names on that team. I'm not going to read them off for you, but Fairchild definitely sticks out.
I'd like to say something real quick just for everybody listening out there. Stuart Fairchild, I'm excited that you're playing in the World Baseball Classic. Good for you. Do your thing. I'm very excited. Stuart Fairchild, also, I hope you know that I spent many, many sleepless nights thinking about our lineups and how the 2024 Cincinnati Reds could have looked differently. But Stu, you're a great defender. Keep catching balls in the outfield. But as the thread knows, Stuart Fairchild, keep doing your stuff. Just do it for Chinese Taipei and whatever team you play for this year. That's all I'm going to say.
No, he's on Cleveland this year.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I
Stay
will
north.
say in his spring training game against us, sliding catch, doubled up, South Florida
Stop.
first. And it was maybe 5 seconds after Kirby was talking a whole bunch about student driver Stu Fairchild.
Revenge game.
Revenge game.
Every time we play him now, he's going to do something crazy. I already know. I get it. I did it
Stu
to
had some
myself.
serviceable moments. My take on him is when he was getting overpowered, got the play. So that's just a little bit
By
hard to
far.
watch and get excited about seeing his name coming up in the lineup. I'd rather see Will Benson's name popping up in the lineup for sure. And then we already kind of touched on the Canadian guys. They're close to having a team worthy of a separate slide, but not quite. Jameson Taillon is the only pitcher that I recognize the name of. They're the Naylor brothers, Denzel Clark, and Tyler O'Neill. They got a favorable pool, though.
I was gonna say Canada's plus 100 just to qualify from Pool A. That's not bad.
Furthermore, on the Logan Allens, I just dropped a link in the chat, but World Baseball Classic website has him on Canada's roster. But as of February 16th, he announced that he would like to represent Panama to honor his mom in the Classic.
Okay.
So I don't know how that works, but good for him.
I don't know which source is the primary source. Well, I guess we'll find out. Tune in to FS1. Figure out where Logan Allen is from. Any other takes on these rosters? I'm excited to see that it is all as many major league players that can represent countries seem to try to do so. The Netherlands team is kind of wild because I think all of those were from like Curacao, not actually from the Netherlands, but because it's just a very Dutch country, they are representing the land of Amsterdam.
I think, the cool thing is, I think you kind of hit on this. Like, there's so many different MLB baseball players that are going to be sprinkled throughout this, where you get to actually see a taste of like what baseball talent's like in other professional leagues. John, you're saying like the Japanese league, dude, that's full of talent. And us being, in the United States, we only get to see the MLB. Like, you'll definitely get to see a style of baseball that's played a little differently. And having them faced up against different styles of baseball, like in the DR where it's very power pitcher heavy, right? It's just cool to watch. So I'm excited to kind of see other countries and other takes on baseball this March.
I've had many $10 wagers on Japanese baseball and KBO where it's like you don't watch the games, but you wake up the next morning and see if you're up or down money. And I've learned a couple of things through those games. But yeah, no, it's exciting. Anytime you have like an opportunity to represent your country and anything, I think it's a cool opportunity, and I think all the players play a little bit for that. I did look, I guess, as going forward, if we're going to continue reporting on the WBC, we have 7 in total Red Legs that are going to be there, including all of like our minor leaguers. Like outside of like Eugenio Suarez and Edwin Arroyo, we got Ivan Johnson, David Leroy, Irvin Machua, who's playing for Mexico, the dude who's playing for the Netherlands. Everybody can look it up. I can't pronounce that name. Alexander Vargas for Cuba. So like we've got some names out there. So I guess we'll keep a dedicated little screen to Red Legs in the WBC and see how they produce. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll add a slide here for the YouTube viewers of all those minor leaguers in case people want to tune in to watch them. Final take on the rosters. I love that Roman Anthony is on Team USA. I feel like he would have fit really well on a Team Italy as well, with his name, of course.
I do want to get everybody's take before moving on about the hot topic that was Tariq Skubal and only playing one game before going back. I saw a lot of social media takes. I saw a lot of actual athlete takes backing Skubal. Me personally, I don't really have any issue with it that he's only playing one game, still representing the country, still going over there and accepting the invitation to do so. I hope that he faces Great Britain and flushes the plumbers down the toilet. Yeah, no, I have no issue with it. I think it's going to be awesome to see him showcase his talent on the world stage.
I have a hot take. I think I would rather open it up for another pitcher for the whole tournament if he's only committing to one game.
Yeah,
In
I
terms
think
of
we
just,
got
like-
enough talent that we could find one.
Like, yeah, right. Like, I think you could have asked another pitcher to participate. I do think, like, if it is Great Britain, I can't wait. But I don't know. Quick question on Mikey Biceps. Is he going to be pitching and batting, you think? Or how do you think?
Nowadays?
Do you think so? Okay.
I don't think he does any hitting. Ever since they added the universal DH, I think he stopped hitting quite as
He's
much.
out.
But actually, maybe so that's what he does at the major league level. But maybe for Team Italy, maybe he'll do that.
For the Italians, I don't know.
Yeah.
Take a couple cuts.
Yeah.
Couple cold cuts?
I will say
Italians
with
do that
the
well.
whole Skubal thing, like honestly, I don't blame him. Like, he's in a contract year. He's going to be making probably the largest contract of any pitcher of all time. Like, I get why he's taking that. But the one thing I will kind of say off of that is I hope the U.S. strategically places him in a spot that makes a lot of sense. And going forward, I hope more organizations kind of see this and are more willing to let more people in with options. I think it's kudos to the Tigers as well for letting him participate in this fashion, because a lot of organizations probably wouldn't do it. So again, I think it's cool, but again, I wish hopefully they spot start him in a correct like game. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
He's definitely making the news a lot this offseason, Tarek Skubal, with the arbitration case and now this Team USA. But I mean, I think it's the right decision for him. But I don't know if there's that much risk in pitching a second game. But if he's not comfortable, I don't blame him. Morris is his agent, right?
I have
That's
no
I think
idea.
so.
deciding.
They want him on the market.
Yeah.
He wants that like ridiculous contract.
It was not only like a lose-lose situation for him also, where it's like if he doesn't accept the invitation and turns it down, like 2 days later, the other face of MLB starting pitchers, Paul Skeens, is like, I can't wait to go over there and dominate everybody because that's what we do in America. So like,
Yeah.
if he turns it down, he looks bad. If he does it for one game, he looks bad. I think a lot of people are just looking for something to scream about. But I do see, Mark, your point. Like, we could definitely use an arm in those later rounds, and we're just kind of giving up a spot to have him throw one game and represent the country. But we'll see if it ends up paying any dividends for the other countries, if they can take advantage of no Skubal and one spot down for us.
Yeah.
All right. Joey, thanks for putting all that together. The World Baseball Classic is going to be exciting. Again, the channels you can watch the games on: Fox, Fox Sports 1, and Fox Sports.
FS2, and then there's some of the games are on Tubi.
Okay.
I don't know how you
That's
get
like
that.
that's like an independent, like you got to download it, right?
I
think
think
it's
it
like
is. It might
yeah.
be. I think it's free, but it's like a different streaming site.
Okay. Yeah, but again, Joe, thanks for putting all that together. And hey, excited. Let's get some the world around the world with Joey here.
So you can
brought to you by Toyota Camry.
Wednesday at 10 p.m. you can catch Stu Fairchild playing for Chinese Taipei, and then Thursday there's 2 games, and then on Friday is when the U.S. starts playing. So their games are mostly going to be at 8:00 on Fox in prime time.
Yeah.
On the weekend. So they're asking for viewers. I will be one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to watch Stuart Fairchild play. Maybe it just changed my mind. Maybe I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't mind him anymore. I like him. We'll see what happens.
Chinese Taipei released a Stuart Fairchild hype video. I'll make sure to drop the link for you all as well.
Please
It
do,
was
John.
unreal. 34 seconds of hype video. Student driver. He deserves more respect.
All right, so on
Here we
the
go.
West,
Let's go into West Side Rant.
Is that the West Side Rant, John?
Was that it, John? Yeah.
No, if I was going on the Stuart Fairchild West Side Rant, I'd have to pull out more information on that one.
that's an
West Side
episode.
Rant. That's a whole episode in and of itself. No one talks about Stu Fairchild was never supposed to be the starter. He got thrown into a situation.
All right,
Man.
West Side Rant.
Is that the rant?
What you got?
West Side Rant, we're going to take it back from the WBC world and go back into the Reds world just for a second here. The West Side is talking about putting Elly De La Cruz in bubble wrap till the season starts. This man is coming off of the entire year last year, playing on a quad injury. I would say for the first time since 2024 season, we're seeing Elly's speed at 100%. He's got more pop off his bat, getting out of the box, rounding first. He just looks like he's galloping in a different way than he has in a year. With that being said, he's hitting 500 currently, 1.25 slug, 1.75 OPS, 4 doubles, a triple, a home run. I think we're just in a predicament where the worst case scenario could be ahead of us in spring training if we allow him to continue playing the way he is. So I wouldn't mind seeing him have even a little bit of shutdown, and that's only, 8 games into spring training, and I'm already talking about this. But at the same time, when you have the would you rathers of the world, I'd rather have a healthy Elly De La Cruz looking like this at the regular season start time. So that's my West Side Rant. Put him in bubble wrap, get it this season.
I think give him 3 days before the season so he can get the rust off and then go from there.
Yeah, I think the Reds need to start taking after this. Obviously, they'll let him probably play the whole spring training. After the spring training, they should start doing the Joey Votto approach with him and don't let him start playing games until the last 15 games of spring training and kind of like work him in that way and kind of like get his groove and get him going. But like what you said, his slash line right now is like create a player
Yeah,
stats.
it's absurd.
So I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. They gotta let him keep playing. You can't just stop. But I don't know. Well, if anything, I hope Stu puts up those numbers for Chinese Taipei. All right. I'm just going to say that now in the pod, get it out in the air. All right. Stu, good luck out there. All right. Good luck. All right. Let's go ahead and go dive into Mark's metrics here that are centered around World Baseball Classic. World Baseball Classic's opportunity to see other countries, but also maybe make some money off of them. All right. So, Mark, dive into what you got going on for the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, thanks, Curb. This is really more to fund your March Madness run as we get into March. Two little plays that I thought were interesting. One is just the Pool D winner of the Dominican Republic. I think we're all pretty high on them as a team. Not the best odds, but you could still make a little bit of money. They're minus 155, so you can still put a little in there and get some return on that investment. And then just overall parlay, roughly the same odds, a little less. The Dominican Republic and Venezuela to advance from Pool D, and then from our pool, Pool B, the US of A and Mexico. So just kind of two easier pools that you think on paper should be pretty cut and dry of who advances. That one is minus 160. So once again, not terribly juicy odds, but overall should be more on the safe side and get a decent return to put it all into March Madness brackets. Once we get more data on maybe player props, we can kind of come out with some Stu Fairchild, live at bat props for the team. But until then, these are kind of what I looked at. Obviously, the Dominican Republic has some decent odds as like the third best team to win it all, since they're pretty loaded. But it's hard not to believe that the U.S. isn't going to win. But they're pretty much minus 110, pretty much even odds.
So are we going to do an emergency pod when Stu's coming up for his third at bat when we see the live line?
Yeah, we might have to. Honestly, by
deserve-
the end of this, I might get a Stuart Fairchild jersey and just wear it on the
Had a
on the
positive
podcast.
WAR for every season at the Reds.
Opening day starter.
That's more.
Stu
That's
Fairchild.
more than a lot of players on last year's team can say.
That's
Well,
that
just take
fake
facts
war.
in
That's
here.
that fake war where it's like the defensive statistics for this player made his war go. It's like, yeah, right. All right.
I'm getting
Yeah.
Teacher Kirby worked up here over Stuart Fairchild, and I'm loving every second of it.
On a school night, John.
On a school night.
Nonetheless,
I'm going to be sitting in my chair tomorrow thinking about Stuart Fairchild catching and robbing a ball and then coming up the next at bat, striking out 3 pitches. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. All right. Hey, that was a great episode of World Baseball Classic Talk and excited to kind of see what we got going into this week. First game's on Wednesday, but that's been Off the Thread Reds. Thanks for joining us and be on the lookout for our next episode, which will be dropping Monday at 7 a.m., which can be found on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. To check us out on social media, that is at OT Thread Reds. And like always, go Reds.